Hi guys, Ray here, City Fan TV. The day after review, Chelsea 4, Manchester City 4. I'm joined by Bernard Deneen from the Citizen channel and
Mick Channon.
Mick Channon would have. I tell you what, Mick Channon would have been better in defence than yesterday.
He might be better taking a free kick in the 96th minute.
Bernard. Okay, I just made a coffee, nice and hot. If you're still talking, I'm going to let you talk. If you're still talking after I finish that coffee, I've got some water as well, so I'll drink that. So, Bernard, how shit were we yesterday?
I'll tell you what, mate, it could have been worse. It could have been another 5-4 job. I give credit to Chelsea. I give credit to Pochettino. I think Pochettino is such a word as out-tacticked. I think he out-tacticked Pep yesterday, that's for sure. I think Pep had to tweak it a little bit, but it still didn't work that well. And I just saw on the Manchester Evening News, he's saying obviously we didn't play as we expected to. But
yeah.
In other words, I mean, we've seen our defence, we've seen how knife through butter we've been at times this season against rubbishy teams, and with the pace of Chelsea and people like Sterling who had a stormer, I thought we could do get him back, mate. I thought it was excellent yesterday. Well, I always said the thing I liked about Sterling when he was crap was, I always said, just get him on the wing attacking. As soon as he gets a chance to pass it. And that, because he was pretty good up to a certain stage, and then he didn't know what to do. And again, yesterday he managed to get a goal, and he played out of his skin. I won't mention the other little ex-rag. Once a rag, always a rag. Mr. Palmer, scuffing the penalty spot. So yeah, I thought Chelsea played very well. I thought they did. I thought they were up for it. Of course, that win at Tottenham sort of gave them the kudos to go ahead and play really well, but we let them. We were poor. I shall say shit, but no, we were poor. We were very poor. I wouldn't say we were shit because we did some good stuff at times, but we forgot to defend, unfortunately. Yeah. Our world-class defensive midfielder forgot how to defend his defence.
Okay. I'm going to flip something and let you have another chat. Did any of our players come at that game yesterday with any credit?
Yeah, I thought so. Where's my little? I've got a little bit of papers. I thought Foden was excellent.
It must be a small piece of paper, mate.
Yeah, I don't know. It's here because it was obviously when I don't go to the games, I do ticks and crosses on my little sheet of what they're doing. Early in the first half, I thought Akanji was excellent. I mean, he only got, but no one else seemed to have said that. But I thought it was not just the goal. I thought he defended quite well. Certainly that first half when we were pathetic, to be honest with you, the first half. I mean, I'd give him about 3 ticks and a goal. So, I mean, everyone else was getting crosses and the odd tick. But I thought Akanji was excellent all game. So I thought he was okay. I thought Gvardiol had to grow into it. It was awful first half, and then he was in the second. But Doku, bit of a luxury yesterday. We wanted him to do a little bit more. Of course,
yes and no.
We need him to do something defensive. He's not that sort of player, is he? And Pep knows that. Pep knows he's not going to come back and help the defence or come back and help the midfield. And they just bypassed our midfield. Haaland did what he had to do. Couple of goals, did what he had to do. So yeah, but the ones I think we can talk about the ones who were a disaster, can't we? Really?
Oh yeah, we'll get on to that. I mean,
so yeah, I thought we played some nice stuff at times, but we never ever had control of that game at any stage.
I think at points we did. We looked at points in this. I'm just thinking about some of the stuff in the second half. We looked like we were going to run away with it. When we were in 3-2,
we had to get, if we got that fourth, yes, but I was never confident we'd get the fourth before they got a third.
There's a few things going on. Okay, for me, I've said it all season. Defensively, we're shambolic. Okay, we've talked about it. Well, it's the same defense as last year with the addition of Gvardiol. Remembering that Laporte didn't play that many games last season. Okay, he played 11 or 12 league games. And most of them at the early part of the season where we had injuries and stuff. So we didn't have many options in defence, really, because obviously Johnny Stones and Aki were not fit enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think we missed Aki, although we didn't have him in the team anyway to start. We had Gvardiol anyway.
Yeah, so, but we've been shambolic. And I've been saying it almost every week. I've been saying we have, in 19 games now, we have 5 clean sheets. That's pathetic. It really is pathetic. When we've got, I mean, you rattle the names off: Walker, Akanji, Gvardiol, Diaz. And when Stones was around, and when Aki's around, those 6 defenders should not be having 5 clean sheets in 19 games. So that's a big, big issue. Some people are saying that's because the midfield isn't good enough. You know, last year's midfield was basically Rodri, KDB, Gundogan, and Bernardo buzzing around as well. And people are saying it's just not good enough at the midfield. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that at all, because the way we play defensively has been shocking. I said it a few times as well. We have this habit. A cross comes in. If we're struggling with it or stretching, we just stop the ball. Why we stick a leg out and just deflect it, stop, let it roll back, carry on into the ball. Why can't we just leather it? I'm not asking it. No. But the point is, you cannot be playing some of the passes we're playing, or you cannot stick a leg out and hope for the best. If you're going to stick a leg out, just leather it clear. It's simple. And this is not Neanderthal football going hoofball. No. This is when you're off balance. And, we saw the one a few weeks ago, was it Akanji just stuck his leg out and basically just, what's the right word? Just cushioned the ball into the attacker who slammed it past him. And we're doing it again. We'll go through some of the players. We'll discuss player by player, because I think that's worth it. Just to see whether we concur, and then talk about Pep, because Pep needs a kick in the balls for this as well. So let's start. Edison, what do you reckon?
Couple of great saves. I think he could have done better with that third, but it's after he picked up that little bit of a knock, wasn't it? Yeah, he hurt his foot. Perhaps he was a little bit slow, but it was a good shot by Gallagher. Wonderful. I forgot how much I hate that Gallagher. I forgot how much a turd he is. He really is a little turd, isn't he, Gallagher? Really is. But cracking shot. He did well to save it, but perhaps he should have put it out not straight in front of him, unfortunately. Yeah.
There's a lot going on, because the defence, where are you? Anticipate. There's so many times we weren't anticipating. Let's move on to Kyle. Kyle Walker was run ragged by Reynolds. He was. I mean, come on.
Yeah, Simon Pecossi said he controls Sterling well. I mean, what? I mean, he must have watched a different thing.
Rings around him,
taking the mick.
Sterling knew he couldn't beat him you can't beat him in a foot race. So you just use a bit of skill. I don't know where Sterling's skill has suddenly come from. The last couple of 3 seasons with us, he didn't show any of this, but he was dribbling. He had that, headless chicken moments as well, where he didn't know what to do. But Walker was shocking, and it epitomises
very similar, wasn't he? Very similar to how Cucurella was coping with Foden.
Yeah,
Walker was just like didn't know what to do, and Cucurella didn't know what to do.
I think. You made me forget my great word that I was going to use there. Okay, it culminated in the 8th or 9th minute of injury time. It's 4-4. We get a free kick outside the box, and who takes it?
The captain. How old is he? 33.
Yeah,
he's got to 33. He's never took hardly a free kick in his life. What all of a sudden makes him think he can score 3 kicks in vital times?
Let me ask you a question. I can't remember who was on the pitch. Haaland was on the pitch.
Yeah. Foden was on the pitch. Grealish was like chance Grealish to take from a dead ball situation.
Yeah. And let's be clear, I'd rather Edison took that free kick than Kyle Walker.
Just a waste, an absolute waste, absolute pointless. As I think you commented, and we commented, of course, the last game, he did exactly the same, and he brought out an okay save from the keeper. But he's not doing anything special. He's just blasting it. And obviously the keeper sees it, and as long as the keeper's half decent, it'll save it, or it'll go over the bar. Simple as.
Very poor from Walker. He was culpable on the Raheem Sterling, their second goal. He was culpable. He was ball watching. He thought, all right, he can say quite rightly, maybe he thought Gvardiol was going to control it, and Gvardiol stood on the ball. But you still got to anticipate. And maybe that sets apart the pretty good defenders from the top awesome defenders. They're anticipating mistakes. That goal, the third goal that Jackson scored, no one was anticipating.
No.
No defender moved for that. And that's why Nicholas Jackson was onside, because he came from behind them. The first goal, okay, I blame Pep, some of that Pep. I hate zonal marking. And that's what probably cost us there.
That guy's getting his bus pass next week, and we allowed him just to on the blind side to come in. A great header. Don't get me wrong, but as you say, zonal marking. If you're zonal marking, you can't see these guys making these little runs. You're just not looking for them.
Bottom line is, space doesn't score goals. That's it. So Walker had a terrible game, absolutely terrible. All right, let's.
I thought first half when we were at worst, I thought it was better. I thought it was the second half when he was particularly poor. He got roasted by Sterling, but obviously,
even in that first half,
Sterling would have roasted a lot of defenders yesterday.
But even in that first half, he was making mistakes. Poor mistakes.
No, I'm not saying it was perfect, but he wasn't the worst in the first half of the team.
Let's try and move up a bit. Ruben Diaz. What? Something I said yesterday.
He's a fantastic player, but yesterday, I'm sorry, it just wasn't. And that penalty just sums it up at the end. That just sums up his day totally. It was a disaster. Everything he did just didn't work. It was pretty awful.
But here's what got me. You can make a mistake in a game, okay? But you shouldn't be making two big ones. And you shouldn't be making 3, 4, 5 big ones. We know he couldn't pass the ball. It's shocking defending, positional play. Basically, it's no big surprise. We gave Chelsea all 4 goals. I think we give them all the 4 goals with the way we played. It was shocking at the back. Diaz was abominable. He was really, really, really poor. You got to call it out. You got to say it. There's nothing wrong with that. We'll talk about social media later. But there's people who say, "Oh no, we got to remember we used to have Richard Dunn." Well, look, when Richard Dunn played well, you give him credit.
When he did about 3 Player of the Year awards, didn't he? I remember.
Yeah, absolutely. When Diaz plays well, you say it. When he's played poorly, why can't you say it? Why is it anathema to say that Ruben Diaz has had a shocking game? He was all there's a bit of a fight on some of the big accounts who called him out, and other people say, "I dare you call him out. We had Richard Dunn and all that. Where have you guys come from? Go back." I think the Guy and City report got an earful from somebody for telling Richard for telling Diaz to F off. I think that's a little bit too much. I think that's a little bit too much to say that. Okay, Akanji.
I thought Akanji was very good yesterday.
But where was he playing?
The defenders, I thought he was the best.
Quite clearly. But was he playing alongside Rodri?
I don't know where he wasn't, but no, because I don't think Pep knew where he was playing anybody. To be honest with you, I didn't see any sort of real.
Well, I saw at times. I saw him.
Where was Alvarez playing?
God only knows.
We'll get to him, but we had. You got Doku and Haaland are only limited to what they're going to do. Haaland's there to score the goals. Did a couple of good hold-up things yesterday.
Yeah.
Doku's there to take people on and get the chances created. But it's not really happening for them. There's 2 players we've lost defensively. They're not going to come back and defend. And then you got Alvarez. What's Alvarez doing? Where's Alvarez? I don't know what he was.
I understand.
But he's in the pocket. Obviously behind.
Well, the thing with Akanji, I saw at times when Rodri was going back into defence to pick up the ball to have some space, Akanji would move into midfield. Okay, but we talked about this a few days ago. Rico Lewis, what's wrong? If you're going to have somebody in that role, I'd rather have Rico Lewis than Akanji.
You have Akanji to defend, and he didn't. Yeah. He didn't have him as just a defender.
He had him moving in to midfield
and scoring the goals.
I have no problem with scoring the goals. Anybody can score. Gets up there. We've seen it before with Johnny Stones in the box. We've seen Nicholas Otamendi in the box in the past. Scoring goals when you wouldn't expect it. But if you want someone to play that, call it the John Stones role or it's the Rico Lewis role. It's not the John Stones role because John Stones learned from Rico Lewis. Why don't you have Rico Lewis there? I just didn't get that. Gvardiol, let's talk about him. He was shocking as well. I still say, look, he's 21. He's still learning and everything else. But he still has moments. And you cannot, like Walker switching off, you cannot have one bad moment per game. It should be one bad moment per half a dozen games. So he's not got that consistency yet for me. What did you make of his performance?
Yeah, I mean, I scored him less than 6. I thought first half he was awful. Second half we improved, and he improved a little bit. But again, I would have probably preferred. I certainly would have preferred Aki if he'd been fit. I would have, you know, whether he would have started if he'd been fit rather than Gavardi, I don't know. Based on that performance,
you wish he had. Move on to Rodri. He's such an important cog in our wheel, and when he don't function, we don't function. And he didn't function. He was Bobbins and all. That's the word for the day, Bobbins.
He got swamped, mate, didn't he? I mean, I don't. We're going to get on to Bernardo, but when we picked this team, because I got 11 out of 11, when we picked this team, we had Bernardo. We had Bernardo helping Rodri, but he wasn't. He was pushing up. So Rodri was on his own.
Or had a Kanji.
Yeah. Or a Kanji was around and about. But midfield-wise, I mean, they just bypassed. It was like a knife through butter anyway. They didn't, they didn't arse around in midfield anyway. They got it from the back up top as quick as they could. They missed out that middle third, which means Rodri gets missed out, and that's the end of Rodri.
Yeah, but his passing weren't great either. Some of his short passing, some of the decision-making process, I just don't understand it. Someone's under pressure, so you give him the ball. Yes, we're used to getting the ball under pressure, but sometimes it was just daft. It was daft. I remember one from Rodri, I think, just outside the box, and they ended up with Sterling passing it to, I forgot, the Gusto or whatever, and he slammed it over the bar. Chelsea could have scored 8 goals yesterday, and you couldn't have denied them. So that was poor. We'll go on to the aforementioned Bernardo. Like you say, when we discussed it, we thought we'd love to have the idea of Bernardo working with Rodri. Like a fly rushing around or whatever, or a bee buzzing about. That's a better, more appropriate term. Getting the ball, passing the ball, moving it on. And I talked before the game, I was so looking forward to Bernardo playing there because when the team used to come out, because I thought, Bernardo's that guy who can do the short pass, can do the long pass, can dribble, can take the ball deep, can make those key passes and can score goals from deep. And I thought he might do that, like the Gundogan role a little bit, but with more energy. And but he was played further forward. Yeah, it just didn't happen for him, did it?
No, I mean, he looked, he had his chances to create things, but I mean, I don't think that's what we wanted him for yesterday against Chelsea. I just thought he was played in the wrong position, but nothing particularly wrong with his performance. He did what he was asked to do, but whether what he was asked to do was correct is another matter.
Yeah, absolutely. So who else we got? You talked about Phil. Let's talk about Phil. I thought in the first half he was pretty decent. I thought in that first half.
Very good first half. Yeah.
He had a couple of good shots in the game. One that even he thought he was going to score. Just didn't get enough bend on it. He'd beaten the keeper. Overall, he was pretty good. Cucurella was all over him with his hands. I really don't like Sideshow Bob Cucurella. Hands everywhere.
He wouldn't have played, would he? But the other guy was injured, wasn't he? The other guy should have started, but obviously, Cucurella, we've got a chance, but obviously we didn't expose him, but we didn't make the most of it.
One-on-one, Foden did some good stuff against him. For me, I was tempted to say, why, even though Foden was causing him trouble, why couldn't we?
Should have been over there.
Doku should have been there. Doku would have ripped him.
Was it Reece
James on to the side?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, he did okay against Doku. I thought, well, switch. That's what they normally do. Switch over.
I thought switch because Cucurella would have fouled him a few times.
Yeah. He would have got in the box, get fouled, get another 2 or 3 penalties.
Yeah. So I was disappointed. I mean, this is on the tactic side, but I thought first half Foden had a decent game. Second half he faded a bit, but City were up and down that second half as well. Let's go to our man Doku. Yeah. We talked before the game. He deserved to start because obviously what he did the previous game. We also talked about the control that Grealish gives us. But I said before the game, Doku generally gives us good control. He knows when to pass it, when to dribble, when to cross. But his dribbling was not the best. His diving was terrible. I mean, he had a chance at one point where I can't remember who the defender was with. I don't think it was Reece James, but the defender was stretching out to get the ball, and Doku just let him do it. And it's like, Mate, all you had to do was keep going. You'd have fallen over his leg. That wouldn't have been a dive, and you could have got a penalty out of that.
Yeah, I think the commentator commented on it that it was a rash tackle, and obviously he got away with it, as you said, because Doku wasn't clever enough to leave his leg in.
Because the first stretch that the defender did was nowhere near the ball, and it was only on the second stretch that he just got a toe to it and poked it out wide. If Doku had been gunning for that, that would have been a penalty because he would have brought him down. There's no question. I mean, Harry Kane would have been diving like a salmon for that one, and he'd have got it as well. So I was disappointed, not happy with the dive. He didn't offer us enough from what we've been used to. Maybe are expecting too much from him, but he didn't have enough impact. We talked about Haaland. You can't knock Haaland. You can. There's one thing about Doku. There's one where he did cut inside, and this was really disappointing.
Doku could have had a shot, and he didn't.
No, he had a shot. There's one where he had a shot. He cut inside, and normally he curls it past the keeper. But this one, he hits it straight at the keeper. Haaland was on the left. So if Doku had mishit it onto the left, Haaland was there. If he'd missed it on the right or had a good shot on the right, I don't think the good keeper's pushing that around the post. We had two players at the far post waiting for any scraps, and he just did a terrible shot straight at the keeper. Going on to Haaland. Haaland did what he needed to do. He got a couple of goals. He did what he needed to do. I don't know what the obviously the penalty, obvious penalty that a lot of Chelsea fans complaining about it, but Cucurella had his hands all over it.
I always think about Haaland. Obviously, Cucurella grabbed him first.
Yeah,
Haaland grabbed him back. I wish Haaland had stopped grabbing him back. He's done this a few times, and we've lost chances where he's. And I can understand it. You want to get the guy's arm off you, but he actually, rather than just like to try and knock an arm away, if say if an arm's on him, he does have a tendency to hold back. Now he's not going to get penalties if he's doing that. Unfortunately, yesterday, obviously, Cucurella was stupid enough to redo it after they both had half a dozen, 6 to 1, half a dozen of the other.
Yeah, that incident was Cucurella had his hands on him first.
He doesn't need to. He can just, obviously, if his momentum stopped, just get on, just keep your hands. Yeah. So I don't understand it.
I understand why sometimes they want to do it to feel the player, to dislodge, disorient the player. But Haaland let go of him.
Remember that one? Was it Brighton? Was it Brighton last year where obviously it was disallowed a cracking goal, a header near the end where we could have snatched it, and he did the same. The guy held him first, and then he held him back. And because he held him back, it was obviously. Ruled out because he was holding as well. But sometimes he doesn't need to do that. He's got to know when to do it, when not to do it. Yeah.
The second goal, did he score it with his balls? Do you know what he scored it with? I reckon.
Well, they were desperate. They were desperate to cancel it, weren't they? They were desperate to get it wiped out for handball or something. I mean, it was nowhere near his bloody arm. It was, if it hit his arm, it was well over the line. But I mean, he can't, as a defender, he can't do much with that. And as a forward, you just throw yourself at it, and hopefully it goes in off your bottom or off your kahunas, whatever it is.
It's like the penalty that we got where they were looking for so long. Was there a handball there, or was there a foul? Was it offside? It's like get out of it. It was a ridiculous. They spent so much time looking for that. And even if they find something, it wouldn't have been a clear and obvious error, But anyway, let's move on. Jack Grealish, come on. I'm not bothered about the other subs. Jack Grealish, what do you reckon?
Yeah, we touched on Alvarez, didn't we? Just said we struggled to know what he was doing. Really, he was involved in a couple of good moves, but. In 90 odd minutes, 100 minutes, he's got to be more involved in games like that. We need him. Even if it means coming back and helping out a little bit. We need to see a bit more of Alvarez in these games. And he's a great player, of course he is. But he's a bit of a luxury yesterday, I thought, a bit of a wasted man.
See, sometimes, he's young, so I always give him that, leeway because he's only 23. But I'm trying to I'm just trying to see if I can get the teams up so I can see what other subs we did and when we did them.
Grealish going on 59 minutes into. We covered everyone else, I think. I thought it was okay. He gave it okay. He gives us that. But I did notice one where he gave the ball away and they broke and they sort of had a reasonable chance, but he did what
But
we
he
know he
didn't.
can do. But
The
why
problem-
not give him the free kick? Why not give him the free kick at the end? I
Yeah.
think Grealish would be better at standing free kicks than he is at shooting when he's moving.
Yeah. The thing is with Grealish, I mean, he had a chance for a shot and he didn't take it on, and or it's the only gripe, the main gripe, and it's an important gripe I have with Grealish, he doesn't create enough. That's my issue, and Doku, for all you can say he didn't have a great game, he still has that. It's why Haaland stays on the pitch when you need a goal. Even if he's having a horrible game. It's why Aguero would stay on. It's why KDB stays on, because they have that moment, those moments of magic in them. Doku has that moment of magic. Jack doesn't.
Yeah,
And
I didn't. Unless there was something wrong with Doku, I didn't particularly think
he had that yellow card
idea to take him off. I thought he should have left him on. Grealish should have come on when we were winning the game, just to try and hold it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's it. And Calvin Phillips, I mean, I'm going to mention him because he's much maligned. But when you need a game tied up, why not bring him? Because look at the rest.
He played with Rodri. I mean, he could have played with him.
Yeah, why couldn't he? When we were winning 3-2 and we were open as anything, yeah, why couldn't you bring Calvin on or do something and not? I can see why they taking Doku off and putting Jack on is a bit more defensive, because when you're winning 3-2 or whatever it was, you don't need that. When you're winning 3-2 or 4-3, you don't need an extra goal. You need to shut up shop. And the sad reality is we put on how many subs? Do you know? Two subs.
Why did we put subs on at 4-3?
Yeah, I don't understand why we couldn't have put Calvin Phillips on in a defensive capacity once we're winning 4-3. I don't understand that. And we don't need to score anymore. So who'd you take off one of your attackers?
Well, yeah, I mean, who came off, and was it Doku and
Alvarez and
Alvarez eventually for Kovacic, of course. I thought Kovacic actually did all right when he came on.
Yeah. I have no problem with that, with what he did. But I would have said, who'd you take off? Foden, Bernardo, Haaland. I would have taken somebody off and brought Calvin Phillips on, or Rico Lewis, if you want control. I don't know how you want to play it, but I just don't think, for the way the game was being played, the way it was going, we shouldn't have finished that game with only making two subs, because we weren't good enough on the pitch. Tactically, that's on Pep. There's no way we should be letting 4 goals in. He needed to change things up. And if that means bringing Calvin Phillips on, bringing Rico Lewis on to get things better, then do it. But I wasn't happy with that. Quick mention about our old boys, Palmer and Raheem, coming back to haunt us.
Yeah, well, I think that was a bit. He was scuffing the penalty spot, Palmer, wasn't he? So he's obviously got a grudge. It's as simple as that. And we all know he was a United fan originally before he spent how many years with us. But so I wasn't happy about that. I don't think he played as well. I thought Sterling was excellent. I thought Sterling was very, very good. I thought Cole Palmer played okay. I didn't see anything that I haven't already seen from Cole Palmer. And all credit for the penalty. But what? A bit angry. I knew where Palmer was gonna put it. That's where he puts it. That's his favourite spot. And I know it was a good one. I know it was a good penalty, and Ederson went the correct way. Yeah. But I would have flung myself so high in that, and I looked a total idiot. But you just knew. I mean, I knew it was going there. I think most because that's Palmer's favourite spot. He took ages. He was a bit wound up because a bit of stress on him. So he's going to play safe. He's going to go for what he knows. He's going to go for the spot that he practices most, and that's what he did. And I was a bit, as I say, you can't blame Ederson, but I perhaps would have busted a gut to try and get a bit higher across. It would have been spectacular, of course, but you should have put Ortega on for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. No, but here's the thing: when you're under pressure. When you're under pressure like that, with that last minute spot kick, more likely than not, you're going to go for what you know.
Yeah, you tried and trusted, and I'm sure Ederson went the right way, so he probably knew it was going to go to his right. But obviously, he does have a tendency to hit him high. So Ederson obviously was nowhere near, was he? Really?
No. So that's disappointing. I'd have liked him to have done a bit better. But hey, it is what it is. So,
Where's Bravo? Where's Bravo and Pantilimon when you need them?
Well, look, I've just heard today that Cole Palmer has been drafted into the England squad. Great news for him. And so is Rico Lewis.
Yeah,
drafted into England squad. I said Rico Lewis should have been there anyway, but because it's like, well, hang on, you're playing for the champions, the treble winners, playing for Pep Guardiola, and you if he was a couple of years older, he'd be automatic. I think if he was a couple of years older, or as Pep says, if he was a little bit taller, I think he'd be playing there all the time. And we'll be talking, there might be talk about, another Jude Bellingham. How old is Rico Lewis? Do you know? 18. I'm going to let everybody know.
18.
18.
Well,
I heard on the radio someone said he's 19, but he was 17 last season. So he came through at 17. So if I'm right, he's
a City player. He's not going to get any credit for being young. They've got to add years to him, aren't they?
Yeah. All right. His birthday's next week, so next Tuesday. But he's still only 18, so don't give him extra years. But there's something else.
It's sad to think that he was on the bench and he could have been utilised at some stage, I'm sure.
That was disappointing. With the ragtag showing that we were putting
up. The conditions as well. I mean, the conditions deteriorated as the game went on, got a lot wetter, and we just needed a bit of fresh legs, I think.
Yeah. Last thing I want to talk about briefly is, again, there's been a huge meltdown on social media. I briefly mentioned it before. People are... you've got, I don't understand it. You've got people who are really overreacting, like telling, I saw some, I won't mention which one of our friends, some abusive stuff. I thought, there's a bit, sometimes people go a bit too far. And then you've got others who say, it doesn't matter. We top the table. Look where we were 30 years. These are kind of polarized. And I think, personally, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but my opinion is they're too polarized. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being bitterly disappointed with our performance. I'm bitterly disappointed. Some people are disgusted with it, but you don't need to go and abuse players. And on the other hand, you don't need to tell people stop whinging. Don't complain because look, we are where we are. I look at this game and say we were shocking. We might go on and win the league. Fantastic if we do. But I looked at this game. We're 1 point clear of Liverpool, who look pretty decent. We're 1 point clear of Arsenal. Was it a couple of points clear of Spurs? I can't remember now. Probably 2 points clear of Spurs. It's all very tight. Villa. And we're going to go to Villa soon. I think we're playing away. They've had 13 home wins on the bounce in the league. So I don't know where that thumb's come up from.
So I don't think Klopp, Costa Postecoglou, and who's the villain?
Unai Emery.
Unai is. They've looked at that game. They watched that game yesterday, and they'll know. We're not there for the taking. Don't get me wrong, but they'll know they've got teams who can. Like Chelsea did. They've got teams who can cause... Obviously, at home, we're hoping we're a much better... It's the Villas that scares me. If Tottenham and Liverpool at home, we should be okay. But,
they'll
come up with all the little plans. But, as you say, you got me point. We are top of the league, but not playing well. At the top of the league. So, hopefully we can start playing. Pep's got a couple of weeks to plan how he's going to sort this defence out a little bit more, and I think he's still getting a hang of it. I think from what he's saying as well. When he's interviewed, he's getting a hang of this. No Gundo, no KDB. He's still mulling it over.
No KDB, no Mahrez. I mean, there's people. Well, final question. People are talking about January. We need reinforcements. I have one guy keeps telling me we need 3 new players. I just can't see it. If KDB's back, if John Stones is back. Why do we need new players? I'm not buying that. People are saying we need a new DM. I understand the problem when Rodri's not there, but this is on Pep. We need to be able to cope.
Yes, does that mean his points have tallied up to get a suspension?
Someone asked that. I can't remember. I'm not. Look, it is what it is. It is what it is. But we shouldn't. We don't need to be going out to buy a player to replace him. Now, if Calvin Phillips leaves and we get a decent wedge, I don't even think we need a decent wedge. The main thing is Calvin Phillips doesn't play anyway. Someone says, "Oh, when we lose Calvin Phillips in January, our squad will be thinner." Well, Calvin doesn't play, but I would like to get a proper defensive midfielder who can cover for Rodri and play like Rodri. But Rodri's, 1 in a million. And the problem you're going to get, if you get the third best DM in the world, for argument's sake, well, where's he going to play when Rodri's playing? Who wants to come? We saw Declan Rice chicken out of coming to City and having to fight Rodri for place when, Declan Rice knew that he's not going to beat Rodri for a spot. Now, I think Declan Rice alongside Rodri, a la Rico Lewis, would have been really good. I think on reflection. Do you see us getting anybody in January?
Not particularly. Not particularly. I think there are problems. We know we've got problems, but we've got the personnel there to cope. If it's a matter of numbers, yes. If we do lose Phillips, we want numbers because let's face it, we looked a bit sparse. Obviously, defensively, once with Stones and Aki out, we're looking sparse defensively. I don't think we've got any trouble midfield and striker-wise. Erling seems to be pretty fit these days, so I can't see anything really happening. And who's going to be there anyway? I don't think there's going to be much about.
Would you go back for Paqueta?
How was he playing this? What sort of season is he having?
3 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to look at players like Nunes and Kovacic to start stepping up again.
Yeah.
Nunes, especially, has not had the real chance yet, has he? So he can sort of bail us out if he can start hitting the ground. But as I said, this season they need before they start. But that's going to happen anyway. If you get someone new in, he's going to need time to settle in anyway, isn't he? So, let's rely on Nunes more, the Lewises of this world, and get Stones back, hopefully playing for 10 or 15 games on the trot.
Well, 10 or 15 minutes would be nice.
Yeah, I'd say it'd look a lot different. Even 5 games on the trot would be nice.
You get 5 games, 5 minutes. It would be nice to get 5 minutes. No, I had somebody else saying that we should be moving Stones on because he's unreliable. He's not fit enough.
He's always been unreliable, but that's up to our medical staff to make sure that we're not putting him in when he shouldn't be. He's not ready. Like KDB, KDB, it was a cock up. I don't care what anyone says. That should have been sorted out well before it happened. And
we've got enough players. We've got enough players. Look at our bench. On the bench, we had Rico Lewis. We had 2 injuries, which were Aki and Stones. Let's say they've come back. Let's see KDB's back. Nunes, Kovacic. 6 good players on the bench.
Gomez is injured. Gomez has a certain amount of talent.
Yeah. Gomez, Oscar Bob was there. That makes 8 players. We're not, and Grealish. That's 8 or 9 players there. So we've got plenty of players. It's not that our squad's thin. It's not that we're lacking. We've got versatile, flexible players who can play in many different positions. I think there's only 3 that... 3 or 4 that can only play one position. Rodri, Walker, Edison, Haaland. Everybody else can move around, float around, maybe Grealish as well. But everybody else can move around, float around and swap. So we've got plenty of players. That's not the issue.
We still get an injury list, like obviously United have had a reasonable injury list and Newcastle have got a pretty harsh one at the moment. I saw the players rowing with the fans over the weekend after their defeat. Put it this way, if we get an injury list like they got, we would be struggling.
That's different. If Rodri was injured for any length of time, then maybe we want to go and dip in that transfer market. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to get somebody who's going to move mid-season. Probably someone has to be able to walk into our team. This is why in all winters, we've only bought one player, Laporte, who Pep felt could come in and hit the ground running. So you'd have to get somebody who can hit the ground running. That tends not to be a young player. It tends to be a senior player of high quality. More senior players of high quality will be already playing for a big team, big club, and they ain't moving in January. The clubs don't want them to go. They might be in Champions League or whatever. It's very, very difficult to price somebody away in January.
We don't seem to have anyone knocking on the door at the moment from the EDS, do we?
No.
Apart from obviously the guys that are already there, Bob and
Look, they didn't give Lavia.
There's no one else is hinted at the moment.
No. Here's the thing: they didn't give Lavia a chance. They didn't give Lavia a chance. So if you're not going to give someone like Lavia a chance, who was knocking on the door, he's went off to Southampton, moved on to Chelsea for about 50, 60 million quid. You're not going to give people like him a chance. And we'd heard of Lavia. We knew he looked all right. I'll be honest, I don't watch the EDS boys anymore, but there are no names being bandied about. There was always that thing about the EDS. There were names bandied about. There was Cole Palmer. There was Liam Delat. There's James McAtee. One or two others. Names were bandied about. I don't hear anybody's names at the moment. As I said, I don't follow it as much, but I don't hear these names.
Even though he didn't play him, he did regularly bring these guys in with the first team squad to give them that, if he thought there was potential there. But at the moment, it's not happening.
Yeah. I mean, Pep did have a bit of a dig at Cole Palmer because he said you'll get game time, but he wants to play a lot more. And no, I want to play more. If you listen to his press conference after the game, I think he did have a bit of a dig. But Cole Palmer wanted game time. He's gone to Chelsea. He's getting game time. He's a penalty taker. He's first choice. He's a first team player. It would never have happened at City. And he's got 4 penalties out of 4. He's got into the England squad. However much Pep wants to criticise him, or City fans want to criticise him, in the short term, that decision looks like a good one. He's on a 5 or 6 year contract. He's probably doubled or trebled his wages. He's a first team player, scoring goals, playing in the Premier League, called up for England. You can't turn around and say he's made a bad choice at the moment. Can't. Right, mate, that's lasted a bit longer than we thought, but it's good to get your thoughts. We've got 2 weeks international break. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. How bored we are. But thanks a lot for coming on, mate. You take care and have a good day.